Hello, I'm pleased to share with you some thoughts on the Mid-Autumn Festival, its folklore, and traditional Chinese culture. We begin with the beginning of the festival, then proceed to the Chinese lunar calendar, mythology and folklore, customs and practices, and the Mid-Autumn Festival in poetry and painting. The Mid-Autumn and other festivals began in China 2,500 years ago, during the spring and autumn period. These celebrations have continued through the Chinese dynasties up to the present day. The spring and autumn period was a time of political, military, and social chaos. Limited warfare reduced 100 states to 13. The smaller states aligned with the superpower states, or they were demolished. The Iron Age came in. War and the iron industry stimulated the economy. War weapons and farm tools were now made of iron. Investment opportunities abounded. Private sale and purchase of land were allowed. Society got turned upside down. The serfs got emancipated. Military men gained power. Merchants got wealthy. And aristocrats and educated men from demolished states became unemployed, sold property, and lost wealth and status. Some among these educated men became thinkers and teachers. They traveled through the states and advised the rulers how to deal with the current crisis. Their philosophy integrated with local culture and promoted strengthening the family, clan, and lineage as identified by kinship and names. The chart has 200 common Chinese surnames. The 5 most common families were the Wang, Chen, Li, Zhang, and Liu. Now everyone, elite and commoners alike, had surnames. Family was more important than the individual self. In a Chinese name, the surname comes first, then the given name. As seen in Kongqiu, China's most revered philosopher and teacher, we know him as Confucius. It comes from pronouncing Master Keng really fast. So Confucius, you say it really fast, Confucius sounded like Confucius to the Jesuits who were in China in the 16th century. So the name Confucius stuck. Confucius' best known saying is known as the Golden Rule: do not do to others as you would not have others do to you. Confucius claimed an aristocratic ancestry in the state of Lu, which is in present-day Shandong. By this time, his family had become poor. He and generations of students told the rulers to stop wars, arguing, peace and harmony will come only if you are a moral being and conduct yourself with learning, core ethics, and family values. Now, the Confucian way was and has been embracing rituals, loyalty, filial piety, righteousness, benevolence, and altruism. Learning the Confucian classics was a guide to ethics. the Confucian classics, classic of poetry, rights, history, and change. At this time, the classics were written on bamboo slips because paper didn't get invented until 500 years later. Confucius believed that music was a form of ritual that nourished internal serenity and reinforced moral thought and practice. Patterns in music reflected order in the universe. The resonance in music is conducive to social order and political harmony. Confucius himself composed music and played a 7-string lute, ode to plum blossoms. And that's the background music of this presentation. Now we get to the second part of the presentation. Dates for Chinese festivals go according to the lunar calendar, except for clear and bright. The dates vary on the Western calendar. This year, which is the year of the snake, the Lunar New Year occurred on January 29th, clear and bright on April 4th, dragon boat on May 31st, and the forthcoming mid-autumn will come on October 6th, followed by the double ninth that will occur on the 29th of October. The lunar calendar adds intercalary months to coordinate the movements of the moon and the earth. It takes 29.53 days for the moon to go around the earth. Some lunar months have 29 days and some have 30 days. 12 lunar cycles will make 354.3 days, but it takes 365.25 days for Earth to go around the sun. And that makes for 1 year. To deal with the extra 10 days left in a year, one intercalary month is added every 3 years. So every 3 years, the lunar calendar has 13 lunar months. Now, the lunar calendar is about a month behind the Western calendar. The Mid-Autumn Festival in the last few years has occurred on different days on the Western calendar. Why is Mid-Autumn so late this year on October 6, 2025? It's because 2025 has 13 lunar months. There was 2 sixth months. Here's the moon over Edmonton in 2023. Close your eyes and imagine what are on the moon. Moon spots have inspired the early Chinese to imagine a cassia tree with 4 figures on the moon. The first is Chang'e. Her husband was Archer Yi. It was scorching hot when 10 suns shone on Earth. So he shot down 9 suns and stopped because of thirst. He then perfected the pill of immortality and was about to take it when his wife Chang'e stole it and swallowed it. She then flew off to the moon, never to return to Earth. This is a famous painting by Tang Bohu, and it shows the beautiful Chang'e holding a cassia branch. Well, Chang'e is not alone on the moon. Wu Gang was sentenced for his impatience. to go to the moon and chop down the cassia tree there. But the tree grows back quickly after he chops it down, so he is forever on the moon, repeating the same task. Chang'e and Wugang were joined by a rabbit, forever churning medicine. The jade rabbit comes from the Buddhist tradition. It offered itself as sacrifice to save others. So the Buddha sent it to the moon to churn medicine to save all the sentient beings. Chang'e, Wugang, jade rabbit were joined by a toad. Legend has it that on the moon there lived also a rabbit and a toad. Here's the rabbit and the toad. The early Chinese imagined the rabbit and the toad on the moon as seen in this silk script from the Ma Wang Dui site. The Chinese began associating the cassia tree with career success, breaking a cassia branch in the moon palace symbolized passing the civil service exams and succeeding in one's career. The jade rabbit in the toad palace is depicted here, blessing all students and sending them off to success in the civil service exams. The tale of mooncakes kicking out the Mongols in 1368 is just a legend without historical truth. The Chinese were repressed under Mongol rule and organized to topple it. A mid-autumn custom was giving mooncakes to family, friends, bosses, and workers. The rebels put pieces of paper in mooncakes, telling Chinese family, colleagues, and friends to take up arms against the Mongols on Mid-Autumn Festival night. All Chinese rebelled and kicked out the Mongols on the 15th day of the 8th month in 1368. There's no historical truth to this legend. The Mongol Yuan dynasty fell due to bad administration, peasant rebellions, natural disasters, and epidemics, such as the Yellow River changing course and flooding large areas in the Shandong region. Population dropped from 100 million to 65 million. Here's not a legend, but historical truth. Executing criminals after the autumn harvest. For 2,000 years, it was believed that executions disturbed the growing and harvest seasons. So no executions were carried out in spring and autumn. Criminals were executed only in autumn and in winter. The Mid-Autumn Festival celebrates the autumn harvest, family reunion, friendship renewal. It's a time for personal reflection on family, friends, careers. How do we celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival? Family and friends get together to admire the moon at night, eat mooncakes, dragon eye fruit. Children make lanterns with shapes of the moon, rabbit, celebrating the autumn harvest today in Hebei, China, and in my garden in Edmonton. Admiring the moon at night. This is a painting by Ma Yuan. Under the pine tree, we see this man with his attendant, probably eating mooncakes, gazing at the moon far away. Can you see this? Eating mooncakes. They're round or square to signify the fullness of a good harvest and growing season, completeness of reunion with family, friends, and connections with the community. The most common mooncake is made of egg yolks and lotus seed paste. It has been accustomed to give mooncakes out as gifts, from bosses to employers, junior family members to senior family members, inferior to inferior. There are variations to the giver and the person who received. In any case, mooncakes have been a token acknowledgement of someone's kindness. Eating dragon eye fruit. Why? It's in season. They're round and yellow like the moon, symbolizing fullness and completeness of family reunion. Making lanterns to light up the path to family reunion, enduring friendship, wealth, and fortune. Their shape mostly round, but some have been square. Children like to make images of rabbits and toads. Making music and admiring the moon. Family and friends compose poetry and create paintings. They celebrate family reunion, friendship. If away from home, the full moon makes people reminisce about their homeland and family and friends left there. This is a painting by Li Yi, titled Bringing the Lute to Admire the Moon, 携琴赏月. You all know Li Bai's poem about quiet night thoughts. He was thinking about the moon back home in Central Asia. Yes, Li Bai was not Chinese in ethnicity. Bright moonlight I see from my bed. Could it be the frost on the ground? Raising my head, I peer at the bright moon. Lowering it, I think of my homeland. And homeland was in Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, and he was writing from Chang'an, 3,000 miles away. Li Bai liked to drink, drinking alone under the moon, a flask of wine set among the flowers, drinking alone with no family, no friends. Lifting my cup, I invite the moon. With my shadow, now there are 3 of us, 1, 2, 3. But the moon cannot drink, and my shadow is attached to me. Li Bai's good friend, Abeno Nakamaro, was also homesick for his home in Nara, Japan. He was a Japanese who had studied in China, passed the exams, served in China and Vietnam until he died. He never returned to Japan. While he was doing business in Mingzhou, right here, he thought of the moon in Nara, where he grew up. when I look up into the vast sky tonight? Is it the same moon that I saw rising from behind Mount Mikasa at Kasuga Shrine all those years ago? The best-known poem identified with the Mid-Autumn Festival is Sudongpo's lyric composed to the tune of Water. He wrote this poem 950 years ago on Mid-Autumn Festival night in 1076. When will the moon be clear and bright? Wine in hand, I asked the blue sky. In heaven's palaces, what year would this evening be? On earth, we have sorrows, joy, partings, and reunions. The moon dims and shines, waxes and wanes. Such has occurred from the beginning of time. I only wish that we live long lives and 1,000 li apart, we can together share the moon's beauty. Let's now contemplate autumn at the Chinese Garden in Edmonton. With the autumn landscape painted by Zhao Mengfu 800 years ago. Zhao Mengfu was a famous painter, calligrapher, and government official like Sudongpo. A detail shot. The trees are bare. Some still have some leaves on. And this painting was shared with friends, admiring the moon. The friends put their colophones and stamps or seals on this painting. This painting was done for his good friend, Zhou Mi, who lived in South China, but whose ancestral home was in Shandong. Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated in Vietnam, Korea, and Japan, countries that began absorbing Chinese culture 2,000 years ago. These societies embrace Chinese culture, use Chinese characters, and still celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. In 2025, the Mid-Autumn Festival is also celebrated in overseas Chinese communities in the world, and we are here in Edmonton. Here in Edmonton, we look forward to the arrival of Mid-Autumn Night on October 6, 2025, 9:45 p.m. Let's get together with friends and family, admire the full moon, eat mooncakes and dragon eye fruit, help children make round and square lanterns, enjoy the gems of our Confucian heritage and culture. Separated from our forefathers by space and time, it is still the same moon hanging over us